You're on.
I'm on. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to those of you that are brand new. We are Dysphagia Duo. I'm Cat Ludwig, dietitian.
And I'm Stephanie Pepper. I'm a speech pathologist.
And
I just let somebody in, so I hope you're joining us.
I hope so, too. I let someone in like 20 minutes ago, too, so I'm hoping that they will all get the benefits of us going through the group and talking about other people's questions tonight, comments, etc. So, and we're gonna make something delicious that
my favorite.
You're excited about. I'm excited about. I can't wait. So,
it's my favorite.
I'm gonna tag.
By all means. And to those of you who don't like being tagged, I'm sorry, but it helps those that want to watch this later to be able to find it.
Yes. Hey, Carol. And we want you to be able to find it later because it turns out we have over 3,100 people in the group, or almost 3,100 people in the group. And a lot of people are posting, and so it's hard to find things.
Right, and it's hard for us to keep up with all the questions. So that's why today we are just going to go through the feed, and we're going to talk about the things, all those things that you guys are talking about, the things that you're posting about.
Yep.
Because we want you to know, hi, Susie. Oh, my gosh, long time no see. We want you to know that we hear you, and we see you, and we want to answer your questions. So let's tell them what we're cooking tonight.
Yes.
Because it's a wonderful summertime. We're cooking farro, but it's what we're putting in with the farro that makes me happy. Yes. It's pesto, and it's homemade pesto.
From your basil plants.
Because I had so many last year, I pulled one out and I said, here, take it.
Yeah, you did.
So you made the pesto. I've already gone through 33 containers of pesto in a year.
You had so much pesto last year. So much basil last year.
Yes.
I have 3 left.
You're doing better than I.
Okay.
But I have people that grocery shop in my
Pantry.
freezer. Yes.
Freezer? Okay. So I just took some chicken, rotisserie chicken, just diced it up real small. We're going to get it to like IDDSI level 6, otherwise known as soft and bite-sized. If you're still on the National Dysphagia diet, this would be closer to level 3, advanced. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to take some chicken, take some pesto.
I'll put a little water first.
I'm going to pour water over the top to help spread out the pesto.
Good. All right.
We were on the same page.
So hi Karen, hi Angie, hi Carol.
Okay.
I love that you guys are here. So we've got 9 folks here. So say hi, everyone. Let us know who you are, where you are, and hopefully we get to one of your questions.
And if you have another question pop up, please ask.
Yes, absolutely. Type it in tonight.
So the first question, it's a question. It was typed by someone anonymous 15 hours ago.
Okay.
And it is about GERD, or gastroesophageal reflux disorder. So does anyone have GERD? This is from Decades of GERD. Thank you.
Does anyone get this from Decades? I think is what it meant.
Agreed.
Get this from Decades of GERD. Thank you. Yes.
Hello from Oregon. I love that.
Hello from Oregon.
Kate. Okay. So
Hi, Kate.
Let's talk about acid reflux.
Let's talk about reflux and what it can do and how it can cause.
Yep. So the
dysphagia.
lining of your esophagus is just like your skin on the outside of your body. Yep. It's very sensitive. It can get burned from heat, from acid, from something you're sensitive to. I'm having chest pain just thinking about this. I have some reflux going on right now.
Oh, I didn't know.
So that I'm trying to figure out with my doctor because it doesn't feel good. So on the other hand, you have silent reflux where you don't feel it until it causes trouble. And I think a lot of people with dysphagia
may have had reflux for a while and didn't realize it. It could happen at night even while you're sleeping.
Yep.
So what it does is it would be like getting acid spilled on your skin. So it damages the mucous membranes.
Yep.
Now you damage those mucous membranes deep enough, and it makes it very difficult for the peristalsis of the esophagus to move food through your swallowing system, through your GI system.
And you need peristalsis from your esophagus all the way down to the end of your GI tract. That peristalsis, or those waves of muscle movement, are what move food and then down at the bottom waste through your GI tract. So you need that peristalsis to happen.
Right.
So if you damage those muscles or those nerves, then that can cause trouble with the peristalsis. So it does not move as well.
And then also, if you think about that, everybody, we've talked so much about the information superhighway, basically from the brain to the gut. So if you have damage in your esophagus, that communication between the GI system and the brain is not happening regularly, or isn't good, isn't good movement of information. It's making it that much more difficult for the GI tract to know what to do.
Yep. Okay, so we got a few more. Kate, hi. Linda, hi. Lindy.
Australia.
2 from Oregon, Australia.
Barrett's esophagus.
So,
yes, Linda.
So let me touch on Barrett's esophagus for those that don't know. So I mentioned that the skin of your esophagus is just like the skin of your outer layer. Your stomach, however, that is very different. So if we think about a cell of your stomach being very flat like this, or of your esophagus and your skin being very flat like this, the cells of your stomach look more like this. They're big, they're wide, they're long, and they are protective.
And they're made to handle acid.
Exactly. And so what happens with Barrett's is that the cells of your esophagus start to change from this to protect you. Because that brain is all about protection, right?
Yep.
And so that protection may happen through anxiety, it may happen through changes in your swallowing, but it can also happen on the interior level of your body and make changes there to protect you from that acid. So we don't like Barrett's esophagus because that means it's been going on a very long time. So we have to address the reflux as soon as we know it's going on. For some people, Tums works, or calcium carbonate works really, really well for some. For others, they need to be on a PPI. That's if they have too much acid. Now, if you don't have any acid and we put you on a PPI, that's not solving the problem, and it could create other problems. Some people do really well by adding extra acid, like apple cider vinegar, in there, because one of the things that does is it tells your brain, oh, she's got something good. It tells your brain when you put like apple cider vinegar in there that there's enough acid and it stops producing it. So that can be very effective for a lot of people.
Right. It can. So Gaviscon is similar to Tums, but it is it's a different type of it will coat. But if you I think on Amazon you can order the liquid version of this, which is even better.
Yes.
So if Tums or Rolaids or Mylanta or whatever you're trying to use is not working, if your PPI is not working, order some of the Gaviscon liquid.
Yeah.
I don't think you can purchase it in stores in the United States. In the UK you can.
Yeah.
But I do believe that Amazon has it.
Yes, I believe you are correct.
This works for a lot of people that Tums don't work.
Yep. So let's talk about diet and GERD.
Yes.
Because we want to address reflux. She says, hey, sisters. Hey, sister.
Hi, Katie Lynn.
My sister from another mister. Nice to see you. We want to address reflux from the nutritional level. PPI twice a day. Sometimes I still get heartburn. Maybe I should try Gaviscon. I think that's great advice, Stephanie.
Yes. Try it.
So
I have people in my household that this is the only thing that works.
Yeah. And I think I need to go get some because I'm not sure mine's reflux. They're checking me for H. pylori. I think I have an ulcer.
Have some of these. They taste delicious.
Oh, thank you.
They really don't taste delicious.
How many do I take? 1?
2, I think.
2 to 4 times a day. That's quite a bit. Okay. So diet. We change our diet. That's the first thing we do with. Thank you. They taste like cake. With something else in there. It's very weird.
It's worth it if it manages your heartburn. If it manages your reflux.
I'll let y'all know if I feel better here in like 10 minutes. PPI liquid was $300, not covered by insurance. Use Gaviscon. Great advice, Marsha. So I find that most people who have severe reflux is because they're eating things that are not good for them. So typically,
or that their body doesn't tolerate.
They may be eating a food that we say is healthy for you, but your body's like, I don't like that. Get that out of here. And so it tries to push it back up.
Yep.
So the first thing I go to when I'm doing nutrition counseling is let's look at how much sugar you're eating and try to cut out processed sugar and processed foods. Second is greasy foods, like fried foods. I try to get people to cut those out too because grease floats on everything else. It's like oil and water, right? Oil floats on the top, and that oil can sometimes come back up and it holds that acid.
I think that that's how this Gaviscon works too. I'm not a pharmacist, nor do I know, but I think unlike the neutralization that a Tums does, this is more of a coating that helps the acid to stay under it.
Let's talk about
it
our
works in a
Farro
different
real
way.
quick.
For you, it's coffee.
Ooh, coffee's acidic. For some people, it's orange juice. Orange juice is acidic. Tomatoes are a trigger. For me, onions. I love onions, but they give me reflux. And corn. And I had corn for lunch. I had mixed veggies for lunch. So I had all this healthy stuff, carrots and peas and green beans and corn. Body does not like that corn.
Yeah, I hear that.
Okay, so with our Farro, we cooked it just like we cook rice.
Yes.
Okay?
And I will gladly taste it.
Please taste it. It's a whole grain. We like whole grains because they have the fiber. And Farro has 7 grams of protein for a 1/4 cup dry, which is going to end up being like a 1/2 cup, but that's quite a bit of protein for a grain.
Wow.
Yeah. And then
that's why I like it so much.
And then 3 grams of fiber per 1/4 cup, which is really, really a good amount. Is it done?
Yes, it's overdone for sure.
Beautiful. That's what we're going for.
So one of the things that we recommend always is overcook your grains. So pasta, overcook it. Rice, overcook it. This is definitely overcooked. I like it a little bit chewy.
You spelled it right, Linda.
Farro. Yeah, Farro.
Yep. So spicy foods, for some people, I have found that certain spicy foods make mine worse and other spicy foods do not. For example, jalapenos and I love them. They're one of my favorite flavors. I eat them and then I'm miserable. But if I eat buffalo sauce, that does not affect me at all.
Wow.
So sometimes it's a different
type of
food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Liz said no, eating pureed.
With no bread. So bread is one of those processed things, and I find that bread is a trigger for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I hate that because I love bread. Okay, so we want whole grains. We want fiber. We want protein. We like whole grains. So Farro is one of those that is delightful. So,
and I'm curious to see how this purees.
So we wanted to do this a couple weeks ago, and I forgot to bring it from home with me.
And I didn't have any.
So I remembered to grab it this morning. So how do you want to do this? Do we want to add our pesto first?
I would say let's add some of that to this.
Okay. So I'm going to turn this off for just a second. So let's add.
We can just move this over and put it, yeah.
So here I just diced up the chicken, water, pesto, heating it up. Okay. So this is a 2-pot meal basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
It can be. So if you are soft and bite sized, this fits the bill as long as you cut your chicken up small like this. So level 6, soft and bite size, you're good to go. Especially if you cook your farro to a little overcooked to where it's not as chewy. But I think even still, if you can handle a 6, you may not need to overcook it. Now for minced and moist, I think we're pretty close to minced and moist here also.
We're going to throw it in our handy dandy little...
But we will, yes.
Okay, so reflux is we want you to cut out those foods that we know are triggers for you. Sometimes you have to keep a food diary in order to figure out what those foods are. We always say get rid of the most common ones, those acidic foods like the tomato sauce, like Melissa said. Get rid of those spicy foods. Get rid of the coffee. Get rid of any of those foods that are common known triggers for reflux. And then we start from there. Oh, yeah.
I might need to cook it a little bit more to get some of
the liquid.
Well, maybe I'll leave
We might need the liquid for blending.
I think we'll need a different liquid anyway.
Yeah, there's still a little bit of
We won't cook it more.
water in the farro.
Parmesan cheese. Because this is homemade pesto and we store it, we freeze it without the cheese. If you purchase pesto in the store, it will have the cheese in it already.
Yes. And notice I put add parm on the label so that I would remind myself, because I forget things almost a year later than when I did them. Okay, so yes, if your GERD goes on long enough, it can cause damage to your muscles and your nerves, which can cause dysphagia. It can cause dysphagia of the esophagus. It can cause dysphagia of the pharyngeal cavity.
So if you have reflux that goes all the way up to your mouth and or nasal cavity, which is possible, especially if it's happening while you sleep, it can cause damage to those upper swallowing areas as well.
Yep. So we want you to make healthy lifestyle changes. So the other things I'm going to add are, they're not food related, but they're lifestyle related. So stay upright for anywhere between 90 minutes, 1 hour to 90 minutes after eating so that gravity can do its job. We do not want you to lay down and go to bed right after you eat within 90 minutes. For some of you, it might be 2 hours. For those of us that digest slowly, don't lay down within 2 hours. And then don't wear any tight clothes, because tight clothes can make some of those symptoms of acid reflux worse. And then we just want you to see your doctor regularly and make sure all of your lab work is okay, that it's not your gallbladder related or anything else. Okay.
All right. So we'll need to move on to another question too, because we've definitely done some teaching.
Anyone that's had an esophageal manometry, what did it confirm? Also, is anyone burping 24/7 with their dysphagia? Burping is related to the reflux. So if you're burping regularly, well, not always. I'm wrong about that. A lot of times it's related to reflux, but it can be related to swallowing too much air. I also have that problem.
I was wondering why you were ignoring that fact.
Not ignoring. Okay. Esophageal manometry confirms that lack of peristalsis through the esophagus. So that can help us determine if those waves of peristalsis in your esophagus are working, because it measures pressure. Anything else you want to add to that?
No.
Okay. There's a comment here about peeling tomatoes. Let's talk about skins on fruits and vegetables.
Okay.
They can be difficult to chew and they don't always puree very well. So if you can peel the skins off of things, that is always helpful. So tomatoes, you have to cut the ends, like cut a notch across into the ends and then dump them in boiling water in order to get the skins off. Do I need to do this a little bit more, you think? For minced and moist?
No.
You're good with that? Okay. So we have our minced and moist here.
But you will know too. You will know how much processing you need to do for yourself. Some people are different and they need more. If you do, that's great.
Yep.
By all means, if in doubt, blend again.
That's one of my favorite things to say. All right, so we have our minced and moist. We have our level 6, soft and bite-sized.
And I am about to make it pureed.
Oh, I love it. I can't wait. Remember, anytime you're pureeing a starch, a grain is a starch, it's going to thicken and you may need to add more liquid.
I am not screwing this on because I have a hot liquid in there. So I'm just holding it over the top so it doesn't splash on me, but I'm giving the space for it.
Beautiful. So we have a comment. Oops. Trying to open the whole thing. It's a little bit longer. Okay. So I was doing really well, and the person had a setback. Exercising more, eating almost anything. Tonight I don't want to happen, but my dysphagia was triggered, and I feel like I'm back to square one. I think it has to do with my neck. I slept funny, woke up with a huge headache, didn't eat too much, headache, coughing, mucus. So anytime you have a trigger, your brain is protecting you. Does that sound about? Sometimes it can be an illness. Maybe you have a cold. Maybe you have extra mucus. Sometimes it can just be a food you ate that doesn't feel right. It's okay. Setbacks happen. We want to work on figuring out how to turn that setback into an opportunity and learn from it. So that's one of the things that Stephanie and I focus on with our clients. Okay.
Now, it needed just a little more liquid, and I didn't have enough. Maybe it needs a little more than that, but
it's okay.
Yeah, we're getting there. Go ahead. Did you find another
So
one?
there's another one about someone who had a severe brain problem and had to have brain surgery. So struggling with dysphagia.
I read that one. I want to talk about it.
Okay, so let me read it from start to finish, and you can address all of it. Hi, Brandon. Okay, manometry was good. Esophagus looks good from all the tests. I'm not sure, it's higher up my pharynx, but not sure what test to have. I've done 3 barium swallow tests, a scope, and manometry. So I like this because where you feel it is something you call referred sensation. So just because that's where you feel it doesn't mean that's where it's at. So if I were to say I feel it right here, where would you say?
1 inch to 2 inches above.
Above. Okay. So 1 inch to 2 inches above. So it's probably more up here. So it's a referred sensation.
It also could be that it is an imprint sensation. Doesn't necessarily mean that something is stuck there. It means that you may have inflammation, or it may mean that you may have inflammation, that as the food goes by it, it creates an imprint, just like your hand does in a memory foam mattress or a memory foam pillow. You can push your hand into it and that imprint stays. The same can happen to your mucous membranes in your throat or esophagus. And it feels as though something is stuck there, but truly it's just that imprint. Until the mucous membranes regain all of that inflammation after the imprint is made, it won't feel the same.
Yeah.
So it could be referred from where you're actually feeling it, and it probably is referred, but it could just be an imprint of what once went by.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. I'm going to, How are we looking there?
I think for those that need it super, super soft, it may not. Let me get some of this chunky stuff up off the edge.
You can always take it off the sides. Can the
I
imprint be fixed with the diet changes? So, Melissa, we like
Yes.
to talk about anti-inflammatory foods.
Yes.
So, fiber, foods that contain fiber are typically anti-inflammatory. So, the crux to this is like, I don't do well with onion. Onion is an anti-inflammatory food, but not for me. So, I have just learned and listened over the years that I know that I don't respond super well to that. We want you to eat whole foods. So fruits, vegetables, whole grains like farro, oats, millet, brown rice. Those foods that have fiber naturally are anti-inflammatory. Fruits and vegetables, the more color, the better. Herbs and spices, black tea, green tea, white tea, herbal tea. All of these foods are anti-inflammatory. So we want to increase anti-inflammatory foods and decrease inflammatory foods like sugars, processed refined foods, high fat foods.
But the key is to identify what's causing you problems, because what causes me problems may not cause you problems.
Correct.
And vice versa.
Correct.
So keep a log. And on the days that you are having more problems, look back at what you've been eating.
Yep.
Because maybe those are some of the things, and maybe you'll see a pattern in those things. That's
Yes.
what we hope for, is that
Yes.
you'll see a pattern.
So yes, through dietary changes, you can show improvement. Drinking plenty of water, making sure you are eating small, frequent meals, especially if you're having trouble getting foods in. Eat a little bit every 2 hours. It doesn't have to be a lot. Just a little bit is okay. Okay, I'm going to read this real quick. My husband had a brain bleed on his brainstem in April, followed by brain surgery to remedy the issue in May. He's been struggling with dysphagia ever since. He's had several MBS or modified barium swallows that showed little to no movement. The latest MBS shows the swallow muscles themselves are now strong. However, the UES or upper esophageal sphincter wasn't fully opening. The GI at the hospital suggested dilation and Botox. We did that 2 weeks ago, and my husband has had very little progress since. It's most gotten worse. He's nothing by mouth except ice chips and water for over 2 months. I think he's nothing by mouth, or NPO, except ice chips and water for 2 months. The ENT we saw last week thinks the Botox did more harm than good, which is very frustrating considering we were told it would help. We are currently working with a speech pathologist in outpatient therapy twice a week. That's awesome. Any advice or personal experiences shared would be great. Where do we start?
So we start with the Botox. It will wear off, hopefully within 3 months, 3 to 4 months.
Okay.
The Botox will wear off.
Okay.
Because that's the nature of Botox. So if it caused more harm than good, that part will go away. Was there a myotomy too?
I did not see a myotomy in this, no.
Just the Botox?
Correct.
Okay. So that's good, the good news. The other part of that is that I'm glad that you're working with a speech pathologist. This is completely my background. So one of the things there are some exercises that can be done that will help to raise. So it's called laryngeal excursion. So you want to raise the larynx and move it forward a little bit. I'm not going to share those exercises because it's not right for everyone.
Right.
Your speech pathologist can teach you those exercises that will help. So what that movement does, that's why your larynx rises and falls when you swallow, because it's helping to move things forward and open that esophagus. Okay. So that would be my first step, is recommending some exercises for upper esophageal opening. So I added some more warm water, pesto to the water so that it's flavored. We didn't follow our own.
We did not follow our own recommendations.
Our own rules.
Which is to season as we go. Layer flavors.
Yep.
So amazing. This is giving me hope. It went away. Hold on. First live I've been able to watch, and this was amazing, meant to be. Thank you for the information. We are here to help, Melissa. I am so excited you're here. Also, we are here to give you as much information as we can. I like hearing about the anti-inflammatory foods, radiation changes of the larynx, hoping speech is going to help. Yes, anti-inflammatory, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, seeds, especially things like walnuts.
This meal right here would be anti-inflammatory. We've got the whole grain farro. We've got pesto, which is filled with basil and
I use
garlic.
Walnuts also, which are
and walnuts.
omega-3, which is great anti-inflammatory fat. Garlic. So you say garlic, pesto, nuts, olive oil,
and
lemon juice.
Parmesan cheese. That's not anti-inflammatory, but
No, not usually.
but it's yummy.
But it's delicious. It doesn't sound like mine could be reversed from esophagus working 30% of the time to working more.
Correct, Linda. You are correct. You cannot make the esophagus because the esophagus is beyond the point of conscious control of those muscles. That comes from a signal from the brain.
Right. There are different nerves that innervate the esophagus to make them work. So if we're not getting those signals, or if the muscles are not working well, it's hard to get them restarted again. Okay. Oh, I keep trying to
Quit
touch
touching my
screen,
screen.
'cause mine's touch screen. Thank you for discussing about raising the larynx. Also, thank you to the other person who mentioned it. Yes. Is it easy to turn the walnuts into liquid? Actually, they blend super smooth. If I didn't tell you there was walnuts in here, you wouldn't have known.
No. And I make pesto with pine nuts, and pine nuts blend so smooth.
Yeah.
Now, just as I feared, the farro is not blending very smooth.
Yeah, and I'm wondering.
But you can make this with pasta, with very small pasta, like, what is it called? Orzo.
Or even rice, because rice blends super smooth.
It
usually.
can, yes. So we are talking about farro. If you need super smooth, go with something else like rice or some kind of pasta. And you would do the same thing. You would just keep adding flavored water, and you can flavor it with your pesto until it gets to the level and the thickness that you need.
So I want to say, like, this is an appropriate puree.
It is. It is absolutely. It's a thinner puree.
It's not completely smooth, but
not everybody who needs puree needs smooth.
Right.
Now, some of you need smooth.
Yes.
And we understand that.
Yep. Okay, so does chicken blend easily?
No.
No, it does not.
So I'm going to tell you this, Melissa. When you're blending chicken, you need to blend it with a fat and preferably some kind of carbohydrate, right?
Yes.
Because what that's going to do, so chicken is a very dense protein, okay? Its protein structure is very dense. So that's why it's hard to blend meat.
And chicken is easier than beef because beef is an even larger protein structure. The animal is larger. So we see these strands, these long strands, right? This is one piece of this muscle. So we want to, I don't know if you watched at the beginning, but I chopped it up. I chopped it along that strand to shorten the strands. Step number 1. And then what Stephanie said, we cooked it in a little bit of the pesto, which had fat in it, and then some water just to add some extra moisture because chicken is dry. I tried to use more of the dark meat than the breast meat for this because it blends easier with extra fat, and the thighs have extra fat.
One of the things that we're finding too, though, is that carbohydrate, that carb that you put in there, or the starch, it if we did just chicken and didn't have something to
Smooth it out, basically.
to smooth it out and to get between that protein structure.
Yep.
Why is it doing this all of a sudden?
We've been
The
good
heat?
so far, right? Probably the heat. So it's like, I don't know if any of you have ever made frosting, but you use butter or shortening and you add sugar. So what happens is the sugar molecules, which is a carbohydrate, gets inside all of the fat molecules and creates little pockets of air that help make it fluffy and smooth and not greasy like butter or Crisco would be. So if we're adding a starch, which is technically a sugar, to our protein, it's getting in between all those little molecules and it's smoothing them out. Because if you think about sugar, it's rough. And sugar helps to smooth things out. Like people use it as like a body scrub, right? To smooth out your skin, which is protein. So we want that starch. You can use potatoes. We like potato flakes. We like, you could use, I was going to say cornmeal, but that's not quite.
No, but
right.
even if you use a vegetable, you could use a vegetable.
Yes.
Like
so,
carrots, cooked carrots, or broccoli, or
yep. Cauliflower.
Yes.
You want the mixture of foods blended together, and that's going to get the chicken smoother.
Going to help it to be smoother. Yes.
Yep. Okay. Anything else you want to add to this post?
It was more about the laryngeal excursion that I wanted to talk about, and how important that movement during a swallow is to opening the upper esophageal sphincter. So. And she's typing to watch this so that she can get that answer.
Yep.
Okay, no other questions. So as soon as Cat's done typing, we're going to answer the next question.
Okay. I'm new to the group. I recently joined because I have dysphagia and dysmotility issues. Any help with eating would help. The what's not and what to's. Thanks in advance. So,
watch this.
Dysmotility is that lack of movement of the GI tract, mostly the esophagus in this case. So, small, frequent meals, adequate protein, chicken. We like salmon because it blends into things fairly smoothly.
Honestly, eggs blend so smooth.
So smooth. We like protein drinks. We like adding protein powder to things. We both do protein in our coffee in the mornings. So get your protein however you can. You need protein, especially to start the day. And then the rest of this, everything we've been saying so far.
Yes.
Okay.
So respond to watch. Or we can attach it. Great. No more questions coming from the live, so we'll move on.
Okay. I'd like to start eating oatmeal every morning. So in order to soften up the texture, which method is best? Putting the dry oats in a food processor and grinding them, or cooking the oats, letting them cool, and then mix them with more water, milk in the food processor blender. I'd prefer to use processor if possible. It's easier cleanup. Thanks. We've tried this both ways.
Yes, we have. I can tell you that soaking those oats overnight is going to help. It's going to give it more time to absorb into that
fibrous structure.
Yes. And even better, if you blend it before, then soak it overnight in the fridge, like overnight oats, it's going to help. And then that way, when you take it out and add more liquid to it in the morning and blend it, it should help it to be smoother.
Yep. If you let it cool, it's going to thicken.
Yes.
So you're going to have to add even more liquid than you planned. Okay. Okay. Someone posted a lovely picture of breakfast farina with fresh raspberries. I think farina is cream of wheat. I think you agreed.
I'm pretty sure it is.
And raspberries, some people can tolerate raspberries but some people can't because of the seeds. So to each his own. We had previously talked about processing them.
processing them, meaning cook them, strain them, and then that way you have the flavor of the raspberry without the seeds.
Okay. Is cream of wheat easier to blend than oatmeal?
Yes.
I don't usually blend it. I usually just cook it and serve it because it's technically a puree.
And it's so,
Cooked.
yeah. We're going to have to try that. That's a good question,
Yeah.
Melissa. That's something, put that on the list that we need to try.
Okay, it's
I
on the
haven't
list.
purchased cream of wheat in a while.
Forever.
I guess I need to get some this weekend.
Some of these breakfast cereals that are enriched, which means they've had to have more vitamins and minerals added to them, are great for improving your nutrition. I don't typically like super processed foods, but cream of rice and cream of wheat have extra iron added to them.
And it's hard for people with dysphagia to get enough iron because it's hard for them to get the protein where they get iron from.
Yes, exactly. So if you're going to
Animal
do cream of wheat, you need to have something with vitamin C with it. So I would even cook it with a little bit of orange juice, water, and a little bit of orange juice in it.
That could be very tasty. I used to make French toast out of orange juice because my child was allergic to eggs.
Right.
So I couldn't do.
Yeah.
So we did orange French toast.
So I think
I think orange in that would be delicious.
I agree. I think people forget that you don't have to use your traditional liquids to make all your traditional foods. You can change it up. Can't do anything acidic like OJ.
Okay.
Can you do something like strawberries blended and cooked into it? Because strawberries are also high in vitamin C. Okay. I was trying to open this next one and I accidentally hit a button and went back, and so I'm finding it again. I should just use my mouse. Okay. I'm new to the group. I recently joined because I started experiencing trouble swallowing and just feeling like I have something stuck in the back of my throat.
Okay.
We touched on that already.
We did. But we can touch on it again.
I'm hoping for some encouragement and stories of people beating this and getting back to a normal life. Any good experiences like that? I have an appointment with an ENT doctor on Monday. Great. 39-year-old male, a little bit overweight, but I've been working hard on it. I'm starting to make some progress and gain some strength back. We like strength.
Yes.
I'm going to start by prefacing weight to me is a number on a scale. I care about how you feel. So if you're working on weight management for the sake of weight management, I want you to try to work on changing your perception to focus on it for feeling better. Because the number on the scale is just a number. We care about how you feel. Okay. Feels like something stuck in the back of his throat.
So, is something stuck in the back of your throat? That would require either looking in there yourself, if it's truly in the back of your throat where you can see it, or if it feels a little bit farther down. Have you had a modified barium swallow or a fees exam? That would be my question. But if you have had those and there's not something stuck there, you may have what I was talking about earlier, the sensation, the imprint sensation. So if there's inflammation and you've eaten something that has gone by this inflammation, it leaves an imprint, and you may be feeling that imprint rather than true food that is stuck. So until that imprint refills with all of that inflammation, it's not going to feel the same. So if you haven't seen a doctor about a modified barium swallow, I would request one when you go to see him or her.
Yep. So everything we've said previously about anti-inflammatory diet as well, it's what I recommend for overall health and can be very beneficial for weight management as well. Because a lot of times when it comes to weight, I find that people who have the most trouble with weight is because they have inflammation and their body's not willing to let go because it's your brain's trying to protect you once again. So we got to work on decreasing that inflammation so your body can get rid of whatever it's holding on to. And that will help you with improving strength as well. Okay.
Very good.
And I would like to say there are people on here who have beat it and who have gotten back on regular foods. Some people can't, some people can.
Absolutely. So is it possible? Yes.
Okay. Caretaker of a father. I believe he has dysphagia. He goes some months without choking, but complains of a sore throat and coughing. Then randomly he starts choking on everything he eats and throws it back up. My question is, how do I advocate for him, and what questions do I ask his doctors? What tests do I ask them to run? Because I brought this up many times, and they did send him for one test, which was a swallow test, but but he passed that. My dad also has early onset dementia, but I do not believe his dementia has anything to do with his eating because he also has the coughing and the sore throat. I love this question.
I do too. What is your first thought?
So my first thought is that there is something going on.
Absolutely.
100%. And yes, we can give you some ideas on question to ask doctor, what tests you need to have run. I'm glad he passed I assume it was a modified barium swallow with the dye.
It's barium, but yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I think that the sore throat is telling us something.
I do too. That was my first instinct.
Okay, what's the sore throat telling us? What's your first instinct?
My first instinct is reflux.
Yeah. Yeah. So what is causing the reflux? And if he does, and I agree, the dementia and the dysphagia may not be related in this case. Just because he has some dementia doesn't mean...
Dementia does not mean that you're going to get dysphagia.
Correct. There are a lot of people out there with dementia who do not have dysphagia.
But he may have had reflux for a lot longer than he's known or you've known. And it may be starting to show its ugly face right now, in that it's changing the structure of the swallowing mucous membranes, so they're not moving on each other. Sometimes things may go down just fine if everything is the right foods, the right texture, the right consistency, the moon is in the right place, the sun shined good today. Who knows? Because sometimes it can be an on and off thing.
Yeah.
So, but it could be that you're starting to see that it's affecting some things and the movement. So it could be inconsistent at this point.
So I would say GI doctor referral. Send him to a gastroenterologist. We want to see if he's having reflux.
So I would think maybe a scope. You could request, can you scope and see if there's anything different?
Any signs of irritation?
Because if the swallow study showed that the swallow muscles are normal, then we need to look at something else.
Yep. I think he may have some dehydration.
Yes, that means that those mucous membranes aren't hydrated enough to move on each other very well.
Is he having some allergies that are causing the sore throat? Because that can create some other problems that can exacerbate some swallowing stuff.
So if it's allergies causing a sore throat, it could be that he's got extra mucus that is affecting his ability to swallow. What's a FEES test? That's exactly it. FEES stands for fiber optic endoscopic evaluation of swallowing. And a speech pathologist can do it if they're certified.
Yep. Does an ENT do that? Do they know how to do that?
They'd probably refer you to a speech therapist to do it.
Lovely. Okay. So from what I understand, Stephanie was certified to do this once upon a time. Are you still?
I'm still certified.
Okay.
But I don't have a machine.
I know you prefer other methods.
I do.
Also. So they put a camera in your nose.
So it's a scope, goes through your nasal cavity, and then sits just above your vocal cords, just in the pharyngeal area, so they can watch what's going on with the food while you're swallowing. I don't like it because when you swallow, everything comes together. So there is a point where you see nothing. You see black.
Yeah.
Because the camera is obstructed by the swallowing. And I like getting different information from a modified barium swallow because I can see it from different directions. I can see it from a side view. I can see it from a front view. I can see if one side is different than the other. So a FEES is a good test. If yes, it is a good test.
Okay. Is it better tolerated than a manometry? For those that have had manometry, yes.
Oh yeah.
They're different tests though. They test different things.
Different things. So manometry is for the esophagus and a FEES is for the pharyngeal phase only. You cannot see the oral phase. So if anything's going on orally, that's not going to show. I've never had a manometry. I have had the FEES done when I was in training. So I know what that feels like. I've heard that manometry is tough.
Yes. There are several on here who've had it and who have had it multiple times. Paul says, I survived the manometry. You should get a medal. Yes, you should.
Absolutely.
Maybe we should make one.
Make one what? A medal?
And I survived the manometry medal. Just ideas.
Yes. Great idea. Yes, I need the pharyngeal phase checked. Yep. So a modified barium swallow or a FEES will do the pharyngeal phase.
So for this lady, I would say referral to a GI doctor for sure. You probably want to get that upper endoscopy or that scope just to check out what's going on. I would also say have him checked by an ENT.
Well, at GI too, they can test for other things like H. pylori. They can test for EOE. They can see things within that scope that may be outside of the actual swallow.
Yep. And then I would maybe start a little food diary. If you know everything he's eating all the time, keep track of what he's eating and when he has the symptoms so that we can start to develop a pattern. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've had it 3 times. Karen, I know you've been through it. We do need a medal. Yes, you do. All of you do. Right now, we are giving you a virtual medal, all of you that have done manometry. So, all right.
I can't spell.
That's okay.
Okay. Okay, let's do one more.
We have time for one more question.
All right. Okay. Hi, everyone. Been having dysphagia since October now. I've seen GI, had a barium swallow, and done endo also. Also seen 2 ENTs. Both say everything looked fine. I've had a thyroid ultrasound done also that came out normal. But it has gotten worse, especially when I lay down. I feel like there's a bubble stuck in my throat or something. It's been uncomfortable to sleep. I'm seeing another ENT in a couple of days, and I don't want them to tell me it's acid reflux or anxiety because I don't think it is. And that's all they've been telling me it is. What do you guys think I should tell them to do as far as testing, or what other specialists should I tell them to send me to? So I'm curious about what GI said about the reflux and why they think it's reflux. Do I think reflux makes that bubble? I don't know, because everybody's symptoms are different. If it's happening when you're laying down, that concerns me.
Is there anything about manometry or modified barium swallow?
An endoscopy, I believe, is what that says.
Okay. Just an endoscopy. I would get a modified barium swallow or a barium swallow to see how, prefer modified, because they can see the esophagus in that too. Just to see what's going on. There may be some regurgitation or some reflux. It could be if you have an upper esophageal sphincter that's doing a good job, not a bad thing. But if you're having reflux or regurgitation, which means it's not made it to the stomach yet to come back up with acid, it could be that is sitting in there creating bubbles. You could be swallowing too much air. When I was going to bring you up, but you did it yourself. Okay. So Cat swallows a lot of air because she untrained and retrained herself how to swallow when she had some nasal issues because she couldn't breathe. So
I would prop myself up to take a deep breath.
And she would swallow all that air when she drank.
Yep.
We still work on it, she and I.
And it's been years still working on it.
Well, she doesn't always do
My exercises
her
like
exercises, but we won't go there.
It's okay.
So it could be a number of different things. Was there what other specialist? I would get a modified barium swallow or some kind of thing to check for any kind of regurgitation or reflux, because it very well, I know you don't want to hear that it could be reflux, but if your upper esophageal sphincter is working correctly, it would feel like something's stuck in there or bubbling up.
And if they think it's reflux, what are they doing about it?
Yeah.
Is my question.
Yeah.
Because them just telling you, Gaviscon. Yes. Hey, I feel better, by the way. So I don't know. Sidebar. I had a burp that came up after I took it, and I feel so much better.
Well, this, yes.
That I didn't know was there.
This stuff works.
I don't feel like I have the pressure there anymore. That I
Okay, Gaviscon, good job. If you need liquid and not the tablets, you can get the liquid's even better. From what I'm understanding, there's more of the ingredients that are helpful, but you have to order it because it's only available in the store in the UK. So if you're in the UK, try Gaviscon, the liquid Gaviscon.
Okay. So GI specialist, ENT, if you've seen the ENTs and they're all telling you the same thing.
I would say GI because the ENT isn't going to go beyond up here. So you want some esophageal
testing
information
and a modified barium swallow to see what's going on, because you can ask them to do the camera to look at the esophagus.
Yes. So if you get a modified barium swallow, ask them to pan down and do the esophagus. Most of them do that these days. They haven't always. Most of them do that these days, but you can ask them to view the esophagus also.
Yep. So Kate says, ENT says I have an oversensitive swallow reflex. He gave me some nerve medication, but my legs swelled from it, so I had to stop. Understandable. Overly sensitive, so hypersensitive. We hear this all the time. So many people have trouble with sensitivity, whether hypo, meaning not enough, or hyper, too much, when it comes to swallowing.
So if you're hypersensitive, there are some things that can be done in terms of desensitization. We've talked about it on some of and we may have some old videos that you can go to watch, but just alternating some hot and cold and start feeling those differences, start opening up your sensory mechanism to those extreme changes. I don't normally make recommendations specifically to people that I don't know, but I don't think that would hurt you by doing hot and cold. And typically we say like coffee and ice cream, or tea and something cold,
or
popsicle,
like hot chocolate and hot tea, or
yes, whatever you can tolerate. You want those extreme differences. I don't think that's going to hurt anybody, no matter what you're doing.
Hot soup and iced tea.
Yeah.
Get creative with it. It's a very interesting process, and it does get your brain to do some different things, and that can help with desensitizing.
Yes. Well, it's so that extreme information is going to the brain because of that vagus nerve. So that is, try it.
Yep. Okay. So I think we got through June 20th on our questions.
Well, there's more. And guys, we need to do this again next week.
I think we should.
So we'll start at June 20th.
So for those of you, we do this every week, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know for those of you in Australia, it's morning on Thursday. For those of you on the West Coast, it's 2:30 p.m. when we get started. And for the one I saw in Alaska, it's 1:30 p.m.
Right.
So we are here to help. We started Dysphagia Duo 3 years ago next month.
Wow.
So we're coming up on our 3rd anniversary, and we pride ourselves not just on knowing what we know, because we honestly, who cares what we know? We care about how we can help you. Mm-hmm. We have a membership that our people join. We meet weekly. We do special things. We actually have our recipe club tomorrow for the membership. It's a Zoom event. So we have people all over the US and in the UK. So $37.99 a month. We meet, and we have an app called Telegram that everyone's in, that they have access to each other and to us daily. So we get to support people regularly. We also do some one-on-one counseling, but that's specific case
by case.
Case
But
by
you
case.
can go to our website, dysphagiaduo.com, and go to our services page and see what we do offer.
And then we do this every week for free.
This is free. With the membership, you get even more of just this.
In a smaller group.
In a smaller group size, yes.
So we are here to serve you. We care about you. We have a passion for dysphagia. Stephanie has been helping people with dysphagia for a very long time. I first heard the word dysphagia 10 years ago, and it's been like stuck in my brain ever since. It's a part of my life.
It's okay to say it. 34 years. I've been doing this for 34 years.
That's so fabulous.
It's a long time.
But what I want you all to hear about that is that's a lot of knowledge.
But it's also a lot of passion, because I know and love working with this stuff. So we want to help you.
Yeah.
Join us again next week.
So the other piece is we like to cook something and make it dysphagia friendly. So if you have something that you're scared to try and you want us to try, tell us in advance so we can get the stuff for it and prepare for it.
Melissa, I'm so glad you found us.
Yes. We like being real, because not being real is not fun. And I'm the awkward one. I'm the messy one. I'm like...
Okay, it's true.
The messy one for sure. We are real because life is real. And we're here to help you through this difficult challenge called dysphagia. So.
All right. Have a great week. I hope that you guys, wherever you are, is not as warm as it's been here.
It's been pretty bad with 100% humidity.
I just turned on all the lights right before this and opened up the windows so it didn't look like we were hermits. But I've been closing everything to try to keep the heat out. So stay cool, everyone. It's summer. I love summer. I'm not complaining.
I'm not either. I'm for it. But we are probably going to turn the lights off as soon as we sign off. Be careful with the tornado watches. Yes, we're in the Midwest. There have been a lot in this area in the last year, so praying for your safety also.
Yes.
Okay.
Stay safe. And we'll see you next week. We will do this again next Wednesday, same time, same place. Have a great week, everyone.
See you later, everybody.